video here. Yeah, as you can see, I'm on Train Sim World here. But that ain't today's video, or the main purpose of today's video. No, what today's video mainly about is the defeat that Labour has suffered, unfortunately, which obviously I'm upset about, because obviously, you know, I'm a Labour supporter. Yesterday I actually went out to vote for Labour. So, you know, it wasn't the result I was hoping for, let alone expecting, especially maybe one of this magnitude. But the fact is, we've been defeated for a fourth term in a row, really, and that's the simple way of putting it. 4 times in a row that Labour's been defeated. There's no other way to really put it, if you get what I'm trying to say. I don't think, personally myself, I honestly can't think of a way to put it, like, overall, apart from what happened. Yeah. Let's first talk about the negatives, and then maybe we can pick up some positives. So, first of the negatives is Labour crushing defeat, worst result since 1935, really. I don't want to be that harsh on Corbyn. I'm going to say it's worst result since 1983. Because if we're realistic, okay, the size of defeat is no worse than Neil Kinnock, or whatever his name is, from 1983, where Labour had 209, this time around it's 203. It's still a very, very bad defeat. It is worse than 1983, technically speaking. But what I'm trying to say, in terms of the vote share, actually, looking at the vote share, Labour got, I think, 33%, which is better than 1983, when Labour got only 28% of the vote share. So, in terms of how the country voted, technically we got more vote share this time than 1983, and that's a positive we've got to take. Meaning that the support is still there, but the thing is, let's not dwell on that. Let's talk about the facts. 203 seats. This is going to be the worst, Labour opposition party for quite some time. In terms of, we just do not have no longer the numbers to let alone go up against it in Parliament, like, against the Conservatives. Like, prior to this general election, we had the numbers, as in, we were competing, at least, for, you know, like, the actual legislation. We could push the government further on the legislation side of things, and on the programming and all of that. Now, we're sort of just going to have to lick up, suck it up, and accept what we're given, if you get what I mean. And anything that we're given is actually a victory now for us, if that makes sense, as a Labour member, really, if that makes sense. Which isn't something I want to be saying, because Labour is a party 10 years ago that was, let's not forget, the largest party in the UK. 10 years later, and they're no longer as big. In terms of the party size, you know, it basically feels like, you know, what was a very strong party 10 years ago is no longer the same party of today. But yeah, I don't want to talk though, like, what cost though Labour this election. In my opinion, look, I think the main reason that cost people, or why Labour lost the election, was Brexit. Plain and simple. I don't think actually, in all fairness, if everyone would like to admit, okay, how many people actually voted purely on the basis of the Brexit outcome? I bet, okay, majority that went to the polls were voting not on the basis of who was offering the better of the two, let's say, situations, but who was offering the better Brexit campaign. And, you know, Boris Johnson, you know, I think he, I'm not going to say offered a better solution to it, but he offered the quick fix solution. Whereas with Corbyn, it felt like we would be going to polls like 5 times next year. We'd be going to the polls for this general election, then back to the polls for, I don't know, for the mayoral election, then to the polls for, on top of that, for the council election, and then back on to the polls for a referendum. You'd be going to the polls, you'd be making more trips to the polls than you would be doing to your grandma. And I think that, to a lot of people, frustrated a lot of people, because what it said about the Labour strategy, the Labour Brexit policy, was really, it was a Remain party, and, you know, they were trying to make themselves out to be a non-Remain party, even though truly they were 100% Remain all the way. Yeah, what can I really say? I can't really say much more. Like, I'm really, really gutted, like, to tell you, the truth of the result. Because it is a very, very disappointing result, in my opinion. And when I say very disappointing result, I mean it. Like, yeah. Like, 'cause it just means, okay, now that with this, basically Conservative majority in Parliament, it basically gives the Tories, everything to work on. Basically, the Tories are basically in control of everything now. They're in control of how the country's run. Full stop. There's no, like, negotiating. Unlike 2015, like, you know, Cameron had to make maybe frequent deals with opposition parties to basically get certain stuff through. Now, Boris Johnson doesn't even have to do that. He's basically got full control of how he sees fit on how the country should go. He can basically say, if he, let's say, wanted to, I don't know, you know, basically, I don't know, say no more benefits or no more NHS, and he wanted to pass a law to block people from using the NHS or something, I don't know, you know, let's say he wanted to do that. I know it probably wouldn't get passed though, because it'd be such a radical idea, but let's say he did want to do that, he could now effectively do that, in essence. That is what he's got. That's how much power he's physically grasped in this EU, well, Brexit general election, and that's what I would call it. It's a Brexit general election, nothing more, nothing less, in my opinion. Yeah, like, it's really, really disappointing. Now, in terms of what Labour does now going forward, personally, as I say, I think Corbyn must go. I'm glad he is resigning. Not because I don't like Corbyn. In fact, I'm one of Corbyn's, I'm not going to say biggest fans. I'm not a fan. But I support Corbyn because he was rightfully elected by the Labour membership. Okay? And the way I see it, there's only 2 ways you can lose that support of a Labour membership. And one of the ways is you do something that seriously damages your reputation. Okay? As in, let's say you really do something, let's say, that would be unforgivable. Like make a racist comment, or, I don't know, do something that's really, really unforgivable. Okay? As in committing like a crime. Okay? The other way you like lose that support of the Labour membership is through failing to win in a general election. But then there's different types of failure. The 2017 type of failure, when Corbyn failed to win that general election, was very different from this time. This time we've got to understand that Corbyn failed to win the general election because of probably Brexit, whereas last time, okay, he may have failed, but he only failed by the smallest of minorities. He basically cost Theresa May her job. okay? But the thing is, like, he damaged the Conservative Party in 2017, whereas this time, they've killed him. Okay, if you get what I mean. They've literally annihilated Corbyn in 2019, the Conservatives have. And yeah, really, like, as I say, they're the only two ways you lose that party, let's say, you know, support. And for me, he's, like, lost, not my support, I hope he goes on, Corbyn, to be a successful candidate for his local, you know, constituency, of Islington. But the thing is, he has had his time now, I think, as Labour leader in office, and he's done. Now, I will read comments, by the way, in a minute. So, yeah, let me know what you think on the, you know, 2019, sorry, general election. Of course, you know, I've been up all night following the results, by the way. You know, I feel very, very tired, myself. I'll probably go to sleep, in a bit, you know, after this, you know. But yeah, very, you know, tired. When the, what you call it, the actual exit poll came in, okay, funny, Corbyn took it, funny, but no, when, obviously the exit poll came in last night, I was devastated, to tell you the truth, but at the same time, I wasn't too surprised, if that makes sense, because YouGov rightly predicted the poll or the general election in, it was 20, you know, 17. Then, obviously, I think it was 2 weeks prior, they predicted, I think, somewhere in the region of a 50, Conservative, like, majority or something, you know. They predicted a pretty big majority for the Conservative Party, put it that way. And, you know, by the looks of it, YouGov was right in the prediction, from what, could be seen. Labour forgot that half of it base wanted Brexit, period. Yeah, no, I agree. But the thing is, okay, right, what else was Corbyn going to do? Labour had a vote back in, it was at the party conference, and the party conference voted for this, to some respects, you know, like, at the end of the day, basically, I'm not saying the party conference is the fault now of this, no, I think it's a magnitude of failures from Corbyn to John McDonnell to Len McCluskey to Labour, as in the whole election campaign. It was flawed from the get-go. I genuinely do not think, okay, that Labour was ready to fight this general election, and I think that's why, in a way, they were trying to avoid going to the polls for such a long time, to tell you the truth. Like, you know. Anyway. But, no, as I say, like, I think, you know, there was many, many reasons why Labour failed to win, well, traditional seats, really, let alone a majority, or even come close to forming a minority. Like, you know, it was quite shocking, really. But, as I say, like, Labour, you know, voted for this at the conference, you know. Yeah, no, I agree that 90% of them are radical members, you know. And on the left, like, you know, a lot of them are on the left. But Corbyn isn't a left-wing politician. Like, he's left-wing, but he's not left-wing. I'm sorry to say, he's a centre-left politician. Like, yes, he's for socialism, but he isn't. I think a lot of people, this is where I say a lot of people will come back to regret their vote in, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a week's time, maybe not in, you know, or by the time Brexit is done. But I reckon, give it, let's say, 3 years, I bet you any moment, okay, that they will all come back to regret voting Conservative. All of them Labour voters who basically flip-flopped to the polling stations, you know, and voted Conservative, they will regret that decision. Trust me. And I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm bitter in defeat, but I'm saying that because, okay, at the end of the day, Boris Johnson, okay, all he's doing, he's getting the same deal as Theresa May. The same deal. There is nothing new about this deal. In fact, it's worse, okay? And let me explain why it's worse. Firstly, it breaking up the United Kingdom. This is the end of the United Kingdom, I think. If Brexit happens, forget about the United Kingdom. Genuinely, forget about it. Northern Ireland will want reunification, okay, with Ireland, okay? You know, obviously Scotland, they want independence. Let's face facts. You know, at the end of the day, you know, Brexit is basically, you know, I'm sad to hear that. Obviously, you voted for that you voted for Brexit and Boris. I understand you voted for Brexit, but right. Don't you think, okay, I'll just ask you a question. Don't you think, okay, that, what about, okay, climate change? Like, what about climate change? Ask yourself that. Don't you care about climate change? I'm pretty sure you have children, okay, or grandchildren. I don't know, okay, but they're gonna grow up in a world. Aren't you thinking about the future? Like, you really think we're better off outside the EU? Really? At the end of the day, like, I don't want dirty chicken from America. I don't like America myself. I'm anti-American myself, personally. Especially with the Trump administration. I don't want a trade deal with America at this moment in time. If it was Obama, for sure, yes, okay, go for it. But right now, how are we going to get a good deal? This train better have good brakes, I'll tell you that now. Oh, we've missed the station. Yeah, oh well, that don't matter. But what I'm trying to say, like, at the end of the day, you know, if it was Obama, okay, and we were getting a good deal off Obama, fine. I like President Obama. He's, I think, the best president in modern history. But we're not getting a deal off Obama. We're getting a deal off Donald Trump, who is America first. America first. Like, he's not gonna give us a great deal. Let's face facts. You know, like, at least with, you know, Obama, President Obama. I know Obama's no longer around, or he's no longer president of the States. He's served his 2 terms. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, the point is, you know, you really want a deal with America, a crap trading relation. Like, it's stupid, really. Anyway, that democracy, what happened? Labour lost, unfortunately, very significantly in a heavy defeat. 203 MPs only came home for Labour, which is very bad indeed. Worst general election for Labour since 1935, so obviously you have to go back to Second World War to find basically a result worse than what we have currently at the moment with this current Labour party. otherwise, not really much happened. Boris came home, he got a nice majority for himself, and he's now going to be Prime Minister for the next 5 years. You think I'm wrong about Obama? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay, he was negative, but again, you know, Trump has business in the UK, wants UK economy booming. Okay, right, he wants the UK economy booming, but at the end of the day, right, what did he say about America? Who's coming first? Us or America? It's going to be America. He said he's going to put America first. At the end of the day, any trade deal, America will be put first. At the end of the day, I know that you think Brexit could be a good thing, but trust me, it's not. America first in the sense we have a bad deals with China. China's one of... Right, why would the US want to do more trading with the UK, okay, when China's one of America's biggest, you know, basically trading partners? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, well, you know, at the end of the day, we're not the first against China, not really. I'd say we're the second, really. Like, China's a much better economy than ours. Let's face facts. You know, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about trade deals as well. Like, the things that matter to me is the NHS, okay? You know, there isn't going to be really any improvement, will there, to the NHS? Let's be truthful there. Like, in the next 5 years, what improvements do you see under this Tory government that's going to happen to the NHS? Then how about climate change? Climate change isn't a hoax. Climate change is real. There is proof of climate change. Like, you come to the UK 5 years ago, okay, and you would see it would almost snow every single year around this time of year. It'd be very much more colder. At this time of year, I can go out in my shorts, okay, and I would be fine. I could go out, I don't know, literally, I'm not saying it's hot, but it's warmer than previous years I've known it. The point I'm trying to make. Okay, the UK's never really screwed the USA, but right, at the end of the day, okay, ask yourself another question. How special is that special relationship? You know? Trump is pushing that. PTW, Trump used to be a Democrat and gave money to Hillary. Okay, right, fair enough, he may have used to been a Democrat, but at the end of the day, he is not a Democrat. Okay, he's a Republican. Okay, I don't care what he used to be, but I care about what he is. The fact is, he's a Republican. He's not a good leader, in my opinion. Trump isn't. And anyway, he's about to be impeached in the Senate. Let's not forget that. So, you know. You know, like, Trump is going to be impeached probably in, I don't know, whenever, I think, when do the Senate vote on his impeachment? They must vote soon. Well, okay, you're American, but trust me, he will be impeached. It's Donald J. Trump here, mate. You know, at the end of the day, like, it'd be nice if he was impeached. Then you get Mike Pence, who I actually quite like. I think Mike Pence is a very good person. Mike Pence could be an excellent leader for the United States, and would do a far better job than Donald Trump. Like, you know, at the end of the day, in my opinion, like, Mike Pence, I think, is a much better politician than Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump is not a politician, he's a businessman. He should stick to what he's good at, and that's business. Politics, no. He's not a politician. Since when did Donald Trump, one of the filthiest, richest man in the world, become a politician? Like, you know, come on. Like, at the end of the day, he's never been a political person overall. He's, you know, in my opinion, far from a political person. Like, yeah. Like, but anyway, going back to what happened here in the UK, you know, at the end of the day, there's so many issues, like, you know, that Labour need to address. The good news is, going on to good news, Labour was elected in my local constituency of Putney, Fleur Anderson, and I do congratulate her. I voted for her, Fleur Anderson, which obviously I'm very proud of, that she's been elected as a newly elect candidate for Labour in Putney and Southfields, of course, which is obviously something I'm very, very proud of. Yeah, obviously, thing is, still, as I say, a lot of what Labour needs to do. I think what Labour needs to do now, okay, is personally, they need to sort of assess what or where to go next. If I was them, I would personally, you know, keep, obviously, Jeremy Corbyn on as a caretaker leader until, obviously, well, probably until at least the leadership debate is cleared up, hopefully, which it will. And then after the leadership debate is cleared up, on who's going to become the next Labour leader, I think then that will be the time when Jeremy Corbyn would have to then step aside, in my opinion. Whether or not it does happen like that, I don't know. Obviously, I will get to vote on who the next Labour leader is. Personally, what I'm looking for, by the way, in the next Labour leader is someone who hopefully, who can obviously not be Jeremy Corbyn, but sort of use some of his skill sets that I think he had. Like, he had a lot of dignity, a lot of pride, you know, he was someone who was offering the UK prospects, which I found very, very good indeed. Yeah, I think Corbyn is someone who certainly needs to be around for much longer, in terms of, like, I want that part of his legacy to be, like, if there's one thing I want his legacy of this government to be, I want him to be the man who brought pride, brought giving hope back to Labour and people across the UK, because that's what the Labour Party should be, a party that offers hope, reform, change, and just some radical changes, really. I like Trump better than Pence, and Trump has helped America. We have cheaper gas at the pumps, tax cuts, better economy, deregulated, lots of energy stuff means we're #1 energy producer. Also, Trump stands up to China. Labour Party are Chinese puppets. Well, no, Labour Party are not Chinese puppets. I tell you that now. Jeremy Corbyn is not a Chinese puppet. You know, Jeremy Corbyn is, trust me, like, I've met the guy myself, to tell you the truth here. I've actually met Jeremy Corbyn, and he's far from a puppet, and in fact the whole of the Labour Party are far from puppets. The Labour Party is the party that offers hope, reform. We are basically the Social Democrats. That is what the Labour Party is. We're Social Democrats. A bit like I think you call them the Democrats in the US. The Blue Party. The party that President Obama represented for whatever his 8-year term in office. That is basically what the Labour Party is. Not Chinese puppets, no. Not at all. Like, you know, here in the UK though, a bit different politics and how it works, of course. But yeah, as I was saying, leaders that I wouldn't mind coming up front for, let's say, to become the next Labour leader. Richard Bergen, I wouldn't mind him. I think he would make a credible candidate. Who else? Let me just have a think. Keir Starmer. I think he would be pretty good. Emily Thornberry. She would be pretty good. Just thinking of some other possible candidates who could really in truth be very, very good politicians. And not just politicians, but Labour candidates and MPs for, obviously, Labour. Angela Eagle. I'm pretty sure she'll be good. Diana Abbott. Rebecca Long-Daly. There is actually a lot of talent in the Labour Party still. But I do think, at the end of the day, we do need to address the concerns, and hopefully Labour will do that in the next Labour leadership election. And yeah, did you follow the US election? Remember Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. It is not what you think. The left is corrupt, neoliberal. Corbyn equals Hillary. No, Corbyn is not Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry. Corbyn is not Hillary. Where do you get Corbyn is Hillary? Look, Corbyn is anti-austerity. Okay? Corbyn is an anti-racist. As in, he stands up against all forms of racism. Okay? Corbyn is not Hillary. Hillary is... I don't rate Hillary. She comes nowhere near close to Corbyn. I'm sorry, Hillary Clinton is not a Corbyn figure for me. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you want to talk about Corbyn, at least speak a bit of truth, mate. I've got to address that point. You know, Corbyn is anti-austerity. Okay, he wants to make... I'm not going to say the UK great, but he wants to make the UK a place that welcomes one and all, for many, not the few. I need Corbyn's book, and it was anti-Semitic. Corbyn is not anti-Semitic. I'm sorry. Corbyn is not anti-Semitic. Okay? That's a trait of the fringe leftists. No. Corbyn is not a anti-Semitic person. Right, this anti-Semitic argument is flawed. And let me just tell you why. Right, ask yourself a question. Why would Corbyn be against the Jewish community? Okay. Despite, for 70 years of his entire life, he's basically stood up for the Jewish community. Stood up with all his might for the Jewish community. Corbyn could not represent one of the most diverse parts of London, okay, Islington, without, okay, not being or having them qualities. Corbyn is not an anti-Semite, trust me. Well, I don't have to read his book. He doesn't have a book, does he? Since when does he have a book? Let me have a look. Does Corbyn have a book? I'm pretty sure, you know, he probably... I'm not anti-Semitic or whatever, you know. I'm pretty sure Corbyn does not have a book. No, he doesn't. Like, he's got... well, you got the Jeremy Corbyn Leading from the Left book, or The Little Book of Corbyn. But these are books not authored by Corbyn, by the way. So they're highly unreliable sources. You know. Yeah, none of them are actually, you know. This was written by Owen Jones, who is a fan of the Corbyn, or of Corbyn. So, Owen Jones, again, not really someone who I would class as a credible source, because it's Owen Jones. He's he ain't even a Labour candidate, or anything, basically. Then the Little Red Book, the Little Book of Corbyn, apparently in his own words. Who was it authored by, though? Let me have a look. Because if you can't find the author to a book as well, so there's no information about who authored it. It just says the publisher was Orange Hippo. Again, I wouldn't really class that as a reliable source or a reliable book. So I don't know what book you're reading, according to Jeremy Corbyn. Unless it was a book that you read online from the Daily Mail or from the Sun newspaper. But do bear in mind that our newspapers are very political over here. As in, like, when I say they're very political, I'm pretty sure it's very similar in America, okay, I would have thought, where, you know, basically parties can dictate what is on the front of the daily newspaper sort of thing. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, look, I'm not saying Corbyn is the leader for the UK, and I've never ever claimed that. I've always thought, since Corbyn's arrival, would he ever get elected to high office as in Prime Minister? No, I never thought that. But at the end of the day, this result is disappointing, not because of the defeat. I was expecting a defeat, I think, you know, but I wasn't expecting it of this magnitude. I would have expected it to be far less. Let's say somewhere in the region maybe of a 28 Conservative majority government, or something closer to the Cameron day, or maybe a slightly bit better. I wasn't expecting it to be basically this bad, and quite frankly, I think the only reason for that is because of Brexit. Like, I don't think really it's Corbyn that is actually hated, and it's that basically that Brexit fatigue that's kicked in now. Because we've had, what, 4 years, constant, non-stop, Brexit, and that is going to go on, I tell you that now. Give it another 4 or 5 years, I bet you any money, okay, that we'll still be talking about Brexit, okay, come the next general election, I bet you we'll still be talking about Brexit. You know, basically we'll be saying, oh, what's gone on with Brexit? Well, what's gone on with Brexit, basically, we're still not out of the EU, or we're debating to go back into the EU or something. Basically, yeah. Today's Britain, 3 leading Jewish newspapers, take unprecedented steps, speaking as one, publishing them from the same page. Okay, right, but again, this is a Jewish newspaper, don't get me wrong. These are newspapers. Like, have you ever met Jeremy Corbyn? Ask yourself that. I know full well Jeremy Corbyn is not an anti-Semite, trust me. Otherwise, he would have been suspended from the Labour Party by now. Trust me, he would have. Like, I myself, I'm not an anti-Semite. Like, I am very much in favour of the Jewish community. I don't love them, if that makes sense, but I don't hate them. The way I see it, I don't hate nobody. It's a community. That's the way I see it. And that's not racism, that's not anti-Semitic, that is being truthful. I don't hate them, I don't love them, okay? But, okay, the way I see it, it's a community. Just like I've got my own community. I don't expect the Jewish people to like me. I don't ask them to like me. But I ask them to respect me. And I respect them. Like, that's my opinion. I respect anyone. Okay? I will look after them. As in, you know, I will make sure that they are alright. As in, I will not let them suffer. I will not let someone racially abuse them or attack them. That's my own opinion, though. Like, now, and that's the same with Corbyn. In fact, Corbyn's probably a bit more, how could you put it? He's probably a bit more better on that issue than me. He's probably someone who loves the Jewish community more than me. But again, as I say, I don't hate the Jewish community. I don't love the Jewish community. And the reason that is because I'm not Jewish myself. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Roman Catholic, okay? And I believe in, you do not have to like something or agree with something. That makes sense. Okay? But you respect it. I respect what they believe in. I respect what you believe in. If you believe Trump is the best president of all time, better than Abraham Lincoln, let's say. Okay, fair enough. You know, I respect that. I don't agree with you on that. I think, you know, the best president of all time is Abraham Lincoln. Myself. Okay, but having said that, what do I know? I'm not American. That's the way I see that. You know what I mean? You know, Donald Trump, where would I put him amongst the presidents? I wouldn't put him any worse than George Bush, quite frankly. You know, I think he's not been a bad president, to tell you the truth. I think some of his questionable. If he did less tweeting, a bit more acting, if you know what I mean, and started, you know, using his tweets as effectively as he would use his power and his position as president, I reckon he'd be a very effective president. But unfortunately, he doesn't do that. He likes to tweet. And yeah, that is, you know, in a nutshell, Donald Trump for you. He's a tweeter. He loves tweeting. Yeah. Anyway, any more comments, get them in the post. I'll read out one or two more comments. Again, as I say, for Labour now, the whole thing is finding a new leader. I think as quickly as possible, but also making sure that the proper tests are met. This time, and when I say proper tests, I don't mean like tests where, you know, it'd be unfair to maybe smaller candidates, but I mean like tests as in, you want to make sure that they can, like, get or convince the public, not just the members. And I think that's very important. But yeah. So yeah, as I say, you know, basically, comment down below if you've enjoyed this video. Please leave it a like. Until next time, folks, see you all then.